Oren, you want to take it away?
All right, so this is the block bar, which I did. I was like, do we get back into? Does the NFTs come back into this? Does it turn back into a crypto podcast, the most noted crypto podcast on the West Coast? And the answer is yes, because honestly, I logged in to OpenSea the other day. I started seeing, I'm seeing prices rising. I'm getting airdrops that are worth actual money. NFTs are back, baby. So I'm ready to go.
Beautiful.
So this is about the block bar, which, as far as I understand it, I don't know if this was done by a third party or a consortium of liquor companies, but this is a liquor-specific blockchain website where they have NFTs related to the liquor industry. And so now, typically, in any other industry that wasn't the liquor industry, because these guys know how to market, obviously, you'd be like, okay, cool, like whatever. But now they have a 200K sale for a one-off bottle of Henny. And that is you get the NFT of it, and you get the physical, like, special edition bottle of it. But again, selling for 200 racks and I'm sure, it's probably like an executive at LVMH that's buying it. But or either way, they have kind of created this, like, okay, let's flip it on its head. We are doing super high end options on here. It's kind of got this interesting physical and virtual. And so I figured that if there was anyone who would be able to accurately figure out the metaverse that wasn't like Adidas flailing or, some of these other things that we've seen, it would be the liquor industry. And I thought it very interesting of this, like, super high end way that they're approaching it to kind of kick it off. And while like obviously like the cannabis industry is like, like, buy your one of 4,200 tokers, like that's like kind of where that's at, which is sick. And I'm happy there's a community building, but like this is obviously on that next level. And so just curious what y'all thought of that. And then, like, are you guys going to bid on that limited edition gin and tonic? Or, a non-alcoholic marg? That Casamigos? NFT? What are we doing? 818, baby. You know what I'm saying? I'm buying all the 818 editions. Whitelisted straight up. You know what I mean?
I love the intersection of the internet and physical, and this is a super dope example of it. And like you said, I think this is probably the best thing a brand has done in the NFT space yet.
When I was going to, it's interesting. The physical, I've been really interested in. That's why I got in the crypto jeweler thing. Because basically, when you buy a crypto jeweler NFT, you also get the actual like physical dimensions and stuff. If you were to want to get the piece produced, and then he actually started selling combos of a physical piece of jewelry with the NFT of the jewelry, which I was like, all right, there's like something here. And he's kind of taken off since I first looked at it. But yeah, like that's going to be an interesting choice. But obviously, liquor is going to do it right. If only the cigarette industry was still booming. Like, what would they have done?
Dude, Altria. You want to look at some stocks that have been gripping and ripping. You cash MO. That's Altria. Just crushing it. But what I was going to say is that
I had someone who was trying to talk. He was trying to talk himself out of investing in that. It's like back in the day, like a big name investor, and at a table with me and like two other millennials, this older guy, and we were like, "What are you doing? Like, just take every dollar that you have, and just keep on that train
forever, dude. Syntax is to the moon." But I was going to say is that I think there's some really interesting. The reason I like this one specifically is there's some really cool documentaries about wine fraud. I don't know if you guys have ever seen them, but like they sort of line up.
Bro, it's happened to me on Bordeaux like 100 times.
That's a crazy flex. If you were actually, if the wine that you're buying, actually, honestly, Oren, there's two sides of wine fraud. One, I know you don't drink yet. One side of wine fraud is that it's the super high end. And the other is that, like, en masse, they do massive wine fraud for really shitty wine, too.
Well, isn't there, like, some country that like, has, for some rules, basically says it's French, but it's not French? There's, like, a whole fucking cottage industry of that shit? I've, like, heard something about this, tangentially.
So Sour Grapes is one of them. Yeah. Sour Grapes is one of the documentaries. It's a great documentary. But they were, like, there's this dude they find, without blowing it all up, but, like, this dude would go to, like, catch and, like, order $300,000 of bottles of wine. And then at the end of the night... And he would impress everyone. Oh, these are the wine collectors, so they saw him really buy the wine. And then he'd go to like the bar and he'd be like, "Hey, I love these wines. I want to take the bottles home." So they're like, "Okay." So then he would like take the bottles home, these empty bottles of like $120,000 bottles of wine, and like fill them up and like reseal them with all this stuff. But anyway,
let's go.
This is a really interesting concept because I do know from these two documentaries about like sort of liquor fraud. But B, it really opens up a question for me, which is like, and I got into a little debate with someone on Twitter about this the other day. And the answer is that the NFT and the physical bottle, you don't buy the physical bottle unless it comes with the NFT, right? And because that's the provenance, right? In the same way that I wouldn't buy the Mona Lisa unless it came with the Koa, right? Or some sort of provenance, some sort of...
Yeah, well, it does give you an interesting thing. If you are going to go, like, say you're at bottle service and you, like, actually went for the, what is it? It's the Methuselah. And the Methuselah is the Ace of Spades, the biggest one they have. It's like the size of a man. They have different Ace of Spades sizes.
Sure.
And so they bring out the Methuselah on, like, a gondola. But if you buy that, it's like, typically that'd be like, okay, cool, I just spent this 60 racks. And then that is now gone. And versus, if we were actually able to continue that would be, and have that NFT that proves it would be ideal.
Well, I know it's much small. So this is interesting too. I'll tell one quick anecdote. When I was working at a very famous nightclub in New York City, there was this guy named Jolo buying bottles at the time. He was this now that
bro, I know all about our Korean arms dealer friend. Yeah.
So Jolo came in.
I was at those same clubs,
and he ordered 2, I think, Nebuchadnezzars of Moet. And they were 60K each or 70K each.
Oh, is it the Nebuchadnezzar or the Methuselah?
There's a bunch. There's like a Jeroboam. There's the Jeroboam's another one. And
Nebuchadnezzar as a call out for a liquor size is so dope. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
It's a mega flex. But hold on. So this is why the NFT is interesting here. Because he bought 2 bottles. They're like 70K each, right? They only opened one. And then what happened is after they opened one, they took the other one and brought it back downstairs at the end of the night because you can't take that liquor out of the club with you. He came back the next night and bought another $70,000 bottle, and all they did was bring him the exact same bottle again. And that is an interesting to think about from an NFT perspective, right? Like, there's no way he could know whether they brought him the same bottle. But if you had like some sort of scan for an NFT, like, would you be like, whoa, bro, I'm not paying twice for the same bottle of liquor all over again? And I don't know is the answer.
That's interesting.
But yeah, it's just like there's a lot of I think that I got in an argument with someone because they were asking about, okay, so how do I know someone doesn't buy the NFT and the original, right? And then they sell me a fake with the NFT. And I guess the answer is you can't stop that. There's not like a perfect solution, but it is sort of a more eloquent and better one. Because hypothetically, you don't buy the liquor that's that expensive, or you don't buy the Louis bag, or you don't buy the Jimmy Choos or the Jordans unless they come with the NFT, right? Because that's where the real value is the provenance, right? I think that's it. I think that's
for sure. What's the?
Well, before we
next tab's you, brother.
No, before we go on the next tab, I think I want to take a real quick opportunity to bring up Irene DAO. Like, well, we're just talking about NFTs. Irene DAO has blown my mind, and I'm sure some of you motherfuckers listening to this own an Irene DAO NFT. But an Irene DAO is sort of this. I don't think it's even a real DAO, but anyway, it is based on a very attractive woman named Irene Zhao, I believe is her name. And these guys just like took a bunch of pictures of her. They all she's got a lot of followers in the crypto Twitter community. Took a bunch of pictures of her and then overlaid words on it. Like one says "when token," another says "have fun staying poor," another one says "focus on the text" or SER. Right. So another one just says "simp" with a sign, and then another one just says "up only." Anyway, anyone should look into it. But the floor on these is currently three ETH. So what's that? $12,000 or $10,000, and it's traded 1,800 ETH in the past.
Yeah,
7 days.
There's this dark, weird, vaguely sexual energy that obviously circles around all crypto things, where some of these guys will just zero in on this kind of thing and go way too deep, and that's what they're there for. It's a whole. That's
well, my feeling is that if no one was convinced before that a lot of the money that is floating around crypto is from guys who hit the lotto, right? I mean, and I don't mean that they weren't smart and played the right lotto. They knew what they were getting into. But I mean, they made a bet that paid off 100x, 1,000x, 10,000x. Very different from grinding it out through a job that paid you a salary. And kudos to the smart guys that played that lotto way earlier than me. But this is it, right? Because if you made $100 million or $20 million out of nothing, you might just throw $3,000 around, $10,000 around funny money. Specific, just in hopes of.
Just specifically in Irene DAO. Yeah, it all goes back to that concept of the elusive gigolo. You know what I mean? So someone, a man, and it is a man, exits his penthouse. It's, above Brickell in Miami. And Versace robe on. He's got 7 monitors just in the foyer.
He's
he just displaying just TA, pure TA. And then he says, We're floor sweeping.
I love it.
All his minions just go.
I've been getting a little freaked out. We won't get into it, but the Penguin's been freaking me out a little bit recently again. I go.
Yeah, look, as someone who has been out since 4,700 ETH and has not gone back in, I'd be freaked out too.
I'm good on ETH. The Bitcoin, my BTC, I think is sold at
Why would you ever buy Bitcoin? Sorry, Anthony Papagiano. Bitcoin pizza was a great idea. I'm sure you guys are having mega success with the podcast or whatnot. But I'm guessing asset might be better than cash. But why would anyone ever buy?
Did you guys see that Standards and Poor's, I think, downgraded the debt that El Salvador's credit risk against their U.S. debt yesterday, partially because they're like looking at the president being like, what is he doing? Like they clearly do not have the $85 million they owe the U.S. to pay them. It's like due next month. So anyway, it's just all wild stuff. But